to our Farm Space Vegetable Production series, where we tell you everything about vegetables, from plant to harvest, and helping you make a big success out of your harvest. Today we're speaking to Johan. He's going to tell us a little bit more about the reason why it's important to have a look under your soil and what's going on beneath the earth, and doing that by means of digging a hole, basically. So let's find out. Johan, how are you doing?
Find yourself, Andre.
Good. Right, so today you've dug a hole for us here, specifically on tomatoes, but this can be any type of vegetable at the end of the day. So why do I want to dig what we call a profile hole next to the vegetables?
Okay, so basically I've got 3 reasons why I would like to dig a profile hole specifically. And the one is to look at my soil, the other one is to look at the water, and then the rest of the plant that you cannot see. As you can see, you can do a lot of inspection visually on the plants, all the above ground parts, but very rarely we get an opportunity to look at what's going on in the root system. So it's the soil, the water, and the plant. So, and I must say that there's different ways in which you can do this. This is a relatively small hole, so this is just for me to have a quick look at what's happening, almost an instantaneous snapshot, but it can give you a lot of information about historic events as well. What has happened in the past, how are you managing it, what's happening to your water, and all of that. So
how deep should a hole like that be ideally?
Okay, so that depends. I would suggest that if you, for instance, initially look at a piece of soil or a piece of land where you want to farm, a lot of the farmers, for instance, would use a back actor, and they would dig all over the piece of field, dig a few holes, and that can then be 1 meter by 1 meter or 2 by 2 and 2 meters deep, and you can do a proper inspection there. And that's to look at, is this soil suitable for farming practices. In that you can see the underlying levels, is there any compaction layers that you need to alleviate before you plant, and all of that. So there's different reasons why you do the profile holes. So you can either go very big. This, for me, what I want to show today is just a very small hole. You don't have to climb into the hole. A lot of the guys do 1 meter by 1 meter, but for the purpose of today, this is good enough. So what I would like to show you here is where I'm going to begin. And first of all, as I said, I want to look at my soil. So if you go down and you just look at this, you can see that this is a very coarse texture, a lot of small rocks in it. So theoretically, the drainage on this soil should be very good. So you look at this, and you can feel right at the bottom of the hole, you can feel the structure of the soil or the texture of the soil, and you can more or less get the idea of what the moisture content is there as well. So if I do this, my hands is quite dirty, but you can just wipe it off like that. If you go more to the top layers, you can also see, but my hands are less dirty if I do that. Yep. So it means for me, and there's also a darker color to the soil at the bottom than the soil at the top. So, but a good thing for me here, we just finished the irrigation on this block, and what you, for instance, would see is, and that's let's forget the soil for a minute and go to the water. We just finished the irrigation. So what we want to see is where in this whole profile of the roots is the water going.
Yes.
So if you, for instance,
you want to look at your water penetration.
Yes. Basically. So if you, for instance, have an irrigation, and within 15 minutes or half an hour, you've got puddling underneath your root system, then you know that your soil is far too wet.
Okay. So explain to me quickly, what do you mean by puddling?
Okay. So you will see, if you dig a hole, you will see water starts building up in at the bottom of the profile hole.
So it's almost like Kimberley's hole, where you see the bottom of the water at the bottom.
Yes. Now, if you for instance have an irrigation and you dig a profile hole, and you see water right at the bottom of the hole, there's freestanding water or water siphoning through the wall, then you know that either the irrigation was too long,
Yes.
or that your soil profile is already too wet and you didn't need to irrigate. So that's one of the things. And then let's, for instance, say there was water.
So here the water scheduling is right.
I think the water scheduling is right here. We did have a lot of rain last week, and you can see that we just finished irrigation, no water at the bottom. So I'm happy with this. Now the one thing that you have to keep in mind is that it's not only a beneficial thing. We need to look at, if for instance we've got, I suspect this is no compaction layers, it's quite a deep soil and no water at the bottom standing. So that means that the water is basically leaching beyond your root system. What's the big danger there is that your fertilizer can also be leached down.
So you're taking nutrients out of
your root system, out of your root zone. And your root zone, basically, we'll get to that now when we get to the plant. If I go there, and this is the most handy tool that you can have, is an old screwdriver. You just take this and you start breaking some of the soil, and you can see there is a small root there, right at the bottom. So you can see this is a very good example of a good root system. Normally your tomatoes root system is about 600 millimeters deep, and here you can see we're at about half a meter, and there's nice fine roots coming there. So you can look there, but there's not a lot of roots. So there's also nice fine roots there. So one thing for me is, if there's fine roots like that in this layer, at least for the first 500 millimeters, there's no compaction layers.
But because that means those fine roots will not get through a compaction layer.
Yes,
at the end
yes.
of the day.
So if we dug there at the bottom and we saw no roots, then we can go up the profile, and at a certain point you will see that the roots are basically growing sidewards, and then you can know that either it's a natural compaction layer, or it's been done with mechanical, with plows or implements, or tractors just running. Then you've got a compaction layer. Then next season you need to alleviate that before you continue. So for this, we've got a nice developed structure in the soil, nice fine root here right at the bottom, so we can go up, and then that's not your main roots is at that level, but we can go down there, and then you start, as we're going more up to the plant, you can see, look at, this is the plant here, and we are a half a meter away from the plant, and this was covered with plastic, so we had a very nice environment as well. Yep. But you can see there's your main roots, and these are the feeding roots coming out here. So you can.
And that's where most of your nutrients is taken up and so forth.
Yes. So you want these roots to be well aerated, so not a lot of saturation, and then these are the roots that will take up most of the nutrients. And you can see, if I just hold this one, very nice white roots coming through. That means this is basically a new root. The whiter the root, almost the newer the root is. The older the root is, the more brown the root appears. So the plant continues to form new roots, and that's what you want to see. Then you know that you're not over irrigating, and you've got no problems with disease or anything like that affecting the new growth on the roots. This is an older crop, and you can see very, very nice. But then half a meter from the plant, this is your root system. So in theory, if you look from that, there's the one plant, here's another one, and here. So we've got half a meter here, half a meter deep. That's our whole reservoir for the roots. And based on that, based on the information that we get out of the hole, we can start planning what's the water holding capacity of the soil. There's various tests that you can do then to determine the water holding capacity, work out the volume of the soil, and then you can plan your irrigation scheduling according to that as well.
Or I can just look at puddling.
Yeah. It's not just looking at puddling.
That sounds easier to me. So at the end of the day, basically digging a profile hole will tell me what is the state of my root system in terms of do I have healthy roots? do I have any compaction in the soil? And with those two factors taken into account, seeing that the water also penetrates through the whole profile.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the more soil I've got that the plant can use, the better the plant will be.
Yes, yes. And with that, I mean, this is a very nice example of a well-structured root system for the plant. You will end up, if you start digging a hole here, we could go easily up to here, and we have to remove all this soil before we even get to roots. That's another scenario that we can have.
So you've had that in the past.
I've had that many times, where you have to go, because we're starting far off from the plant and working towards the plant to see where the roots are. And a lot of the time you have to dig almost up to the plant just to find some roots. And then the roots are very shallow. Then this whole roots, the reservoir of your roots being, let's say, 1 meter by half a meter by half a meter there, all of a sudden becomes 200 by 200 by 200. And then all the irrigation, all the fertilizers that you apply goes down into your soil, and it's wasted. The plant cannot take it up because the roots only grow up to here. Here we've got a very nice example of a root system, healthy roots right at the top, very nice reservoir, no compaction layers at the bottom.
How it should be.
Yeah, how it should be, yes. This is making farming easy for the farmer.
Right, so now you know why you need to dig a profile hole and what you can learn from that. It doesn't matter what type of vegetable you've got. As he keeps hammering away at that, don't forget to look at all our other videos that we've got in terms of our Sakata vegetable production series. If you've got any questions, comment below or click the link on top or below, depending on where you're watching, and get in contact with Sakata, and they'll make sure to get someone to help you with your crop. So this is from our vegetable production series. See you next time. Cheers.